よろしく。処置は終わりました。
Can't move. Can't move. Bound.
ここだな。
Move. Be thorough. Can't stop it. Already stuck. Stay down. Duck. Give up already. Be thorough. Like my scarf. I will be stopped. No holding back.
ここだな。
No escape. Stuck. What? I'm stuck. Oh.
よろしく。
No problem. Give up already. Move. Don't underestimate the pros. Step into it. Like my scarf. Move. Give up already.
処置は終わりました。
Be thorough. We're in range. Like my scarf. No holding back. Stay down.
Got me! Away!
Give up already.
ここだな。
Like my scarf. Give up already.
Got me!
Give up
感
already.
謝する。
Stay still.
Let me go!
Like my scarf. I will be stopped. No problem. Annihilation. Like my scarf.
So annoying!
Give up already. Plus ultra. I'll destroy you. Take down. Can't lose.
処置は終わりました。
I'll destroy you. Take down. Can't lose. I'll finish this. Be thorough. So take down.
ここだな。
Can't lose. Take down. Be thorough. So close. I'll finish this. Impossible. Got work to do. Let's move here. We've got work to do. Be thorough.
Let's move here. We've got work to do. Let's move here. We've got work to do.
感謝
I erase course. Just try and stop me. This is bad. Bound. Step into it.
よろしく
This is bad. This is bad. Can't move. Stay down. Stuck. I erase course. Annihilation. Step into it. Can you handle it? I'll finish this.
処置は終わりました
Stay down. No holding back. You're in range. Step into it. Give up already. Try and stop me. Beat you like my scar. No walking away from this. All out. Give up already.
ここだな
Try it. Give up already. Like my scar. I won't be stopped. Just try it. Stay down. Stay still.
感謝する
To be thorough. You're in range. I'll finish this. You're in range. Can't stop it. Annihilation. I'll finish this.
処置は終わりました
Just try and stop me. Beat you like my scar. Too slow. Like my scarf. Stay down. No holding back.
ここだ
I'll
な
finish this. Just try. You're in range. Give up already. Just try it. Be thorough. Just try it. Stay down. I'll finish this. Annihilation. Annihilation.
I can't move.
Step in. Stay down. I'll finish this. Annihilation. Beat you. Stay down. Just try and stop. Give up already. Annihilation. Too slow. Like my scar.
感謝する
いける回復だこっから余裕だぜいける回復だ
よろしく